Hello and welcome back to this channel. This is episode 2 for our reading of the lore. I have a couple more pages / chapters that we can go through. This document is ginormous. It's 87 pages long, so we'll see how many pages I'll get through, but we're going to read through a couple more. If this is your first time here, I do have episode 1 available, but basically the gist is that we're reading lore from this master post PDF that somebody compiled over on Reddit, and it has all the in-game quest lore put together in chronological order. So I'm going to read a couple more tonight. We're going to start here with something called the Twin Empires. And it says Stranglethorn Vale and Cenarius. I hope you guys enjoy. And yeah, leave a comment if you would like. And yeah. About 16,000 years ago, long before the Night Elves foolishly called down the wrath of the Burning Legion, trolls lorded over much of Kalimdor, then a single continent. There were twin troll empires, the Gurubashi Empire of the southeastern jungles, and the Amani Empire of the middle forestlands. There were smaller tribes that lived far to the north, in the region now known as Northrend. These tribes founded a small nation known as Gundrak, but never achieved the size or prosperity of the southern empires. The Gurubashi and Amani empires had little love for one another, but rarely warred against each other. At the time, their greatest common enemy was a third empire, the civilization of Azjatar. The Akir were intelligent insectoids who ruled the land of the far west. These clever insectoids were greatly expansionistic and incredibly evil. The Akir were obsessed with eradicating all non-insect life from the fields of Kalimdor. The trolls fought them for many thousands of years, but never succeeded in winning a true victory over the Akir. Eventually, due to the trolls' persistence, the Akiri kingdom split in half as its citizens fled to separate colonies in the far northern and southern regions of the continent. Two Akiri city-states emerged, Ajol-Narub in the northern wastes, and Ankaraj in the southern desert. Though the trolls suspected that there were other Akiri colonies beneath Kalimdor, their existence was never verified. With the insectoids driven into exile, the twin troll empires returned to business as usual. Despite their great victory, neither civilization expanded much farther than their original boundaries. However, ancient texts speak of a small faction of trolls that broke off from the Amani Empire and founded their own colony in the heart of the Dark Continent. There, these brave pioneers discovered the cosmic well of eternity, which transformed them into beings of immense power. Some legends suggest that these adventurous trolls were the first Night Elves, though this theory has never been proven. The Kaldorei and the Well of Eternity, the Waking World and the Well of Eternity, Stormwind, Wetlands. 10,000 years before the orcs and humans clashed in their first war, the world of Azeroth cradled only one massive continent surrounded by the infinite raging seas. That landmass, known as Kalimdor, was home to a number of disparate races and creatures, all vying for survival amongst the savage elements of the waking world. At the Dark Continent's center was a mysterious lake of incandescent energies. The lake, which would later be called the Well of Eternity, was the true heart of the world's magic and natural power. Drawing its energies from the infinite, great dark beyond the world, the well acted as a mystical font, sending its potent energies out across the world to nourish all life in all its wondrous forms. In a time, a primitive tribe of nocturnal humanoids cautiously made their way to the edges of the mesmerizing enchanted lake. The feral nomadic humanoids, drawn by the well's strange energies, built crude homes upon its tranquil shores. Over time, the well's cosmic power affected the strange tribe, making them strong, wise, and virtually immortal. The tribe adopted the name Kaldori, which meant children of the stars in their native tongue. To celebrate their budding society, they constructed great structures and temples around the lake's periphery. The Kaldori, or Night Elves, as they would later be known, worshipped the moon goddess Elune and believed that she slept within the well's shimmering depths during the daylight hours. The early Night Elf priests and seers studied the well with an insatiable curiosity, driven to plumb its untold secrets and power. As their society grew, the Night Elves explored the breadth of Kalimdor and encountered its myriad denizens. The only creatures that gave them pause were the ancient and powerful dragons. Though the great serpentine beasts were often reclusive, they did much to safeguard the known lands from potential threats. The Night Elves believed that the dragons held themselves to be the protectors of the world, and that they and their secrets were best left alone. In time, the Night Elves' curiosity led them to meet and befriend a number of powerful entities, not the least of which was Cenarius, a mighty demigod of the primordial forestlands. The great-hearted Cenarius grew fond of the inquisitive Night Elves and spent a great deal of time teaching them about the natural world. The tranquil Kaldori developed a strong empathy for the living forests of Kalimdor and reveled in the harmonious balance of nature. Yet, as the seemingly endless ages passed, the Night Elf civilization expanded both territorially and culturally. Their temples, roads, and dwelling places stretched across the breadth of the Dark Continent. Azshara, the Night Elf's beautifully and gifted queen, built an immense, wondrous palace on the well's shore that housed her favored servitors within its bejeweled halls. Her servitors, whom she called the Kaldori, or Highborne, doted on her every command and believed themselves to be greater than the rest of their lower caste brethren. Though Queen Azshara was loved equally by all of her people, the Highborne were secretly hated by the jealous masses. Sharing the priest's curiosity towards the Well of Eternity, Azshara ordered the educated Highborne to plumb its secrets and reveal its true purpose in the world. The Highborne buried themselves in their work and studied the well ceaselessly. In time, they developed the ability to manipulate and control the well's cosmic energies. As the reckless experiments progressed, the Highborne found that they could use their newfound power to either create or destroy at their leisure. The hapless Highborne had stumbled upon primitive magic and were now resolved to devote themselves to its mastery. Although they agreed that magic was inherently dangerous if handled irresponsibly, Azshara and her Highborne began to practice their spellcraft with reckless abandon. Cenarius and the many of the wizened Night Elf scholars warned that only calamity would result from toying with the clearly volatile arts of magic. But Azshara and her followers stubbornly continued to expand their burgeoning power. As their powers grew, a distinct change came over Azshara and the Highborne. The haughty, aloof upper class became increasingly callous and cruel towards their fellow Night Elves. A dark, brooding pall veiled Azshara once entrancing beauty. She began to withdraw from her loving subjects and refused to interact with any but her trusted Highborne priests. A young brazen scholar named Fury and Storage, who had spent much of his time studying the well's effects, began to suspect that a terrible power was corrupting the Highborne and his beloved queen. Though he could not conceive the evil that was to come, he knew that the Night Elves' lives would soon be changed forever. Empires fall. Stranglethorn Vale, Cenarius. Aside from their shadowy origins, it is clear that the Night Elves came to power soon after the discovery of the Well of Eternity. Despite the Trolls' attempts to keep them from expanding their territories, the Night Elves built up a mighty empire that expanded rapidly across primordial Kalimdor. Wielding fierce magics never before imagined by the superstitious Trolls, the Night Elves had little trouble doing what the evil Akir could never do: topple the two greatest empires in the world. The Night Elves systematically dismantled the Trolls' defenses and supply chains. The Trolls, unable to counter the Elves' destructive magics, buckled under the onslaught. The Night Elves proved every bit as cunning and bloodthirsty as the savage Trolls, incurring the latter race's eternal hatred and disdain. The Gurubashi and Amani empires fragmented within only a few short years. Eventually, the Night Elves were burned by the arcane fires they sought to control. The reckless use of magic had lured the demonic Burning Legion to the world, the demons crushed much of the Night Elf civilization. Though there are no records to indicate that the Legion attacked either troll civilization, it is likely that the battles took place across the breadth of the continent. At the end of this terrible conflict, known as the War of the Ancients, the Well of Eternity imploded. The resulting shockwave shattered the greater landmass of Kalimdor. The center of the continent was blasted beneath the sea, leaving only a small group of broken single continents. Thus, great chunks of both the Amani and Gurubashi empires still exist in the present-day lands of Quel'Thalas and Stranglethorn. The Ajakir kingdoms of Ajol-Nerub and Ankaraj have also survived in present-day Northrend and Daenerys. Both troll civilizations recoiled from the vast destruction of the primordial world they had known. The dauntless trolls rebuilt the ravaged cities and set about to reclaim some of their former power. The War of the Ancients. Stormwind City, Scarlet Monastery, Darnassus. The Highborne's reckless use of magic sent ripples of energy spiraling out from the Well of Eternity and into the great dark beyond. The streaming ripples of energy were felt by the terrible alien minds. Sargeras, the great enemy of all life, the destroyer of worlds, felt the potent ripples and was drawn to their distant point of origin. Spying the primordial world of Azeroth and sensing the limitless energies from the Well of Eternity, Sargeras was consumed by an insatiable hunger. The great dark god of the nameless void resolved to destroy the fledgling world and claim its energies as his own. Sargeras gathered his vast burning legion and made his way towards the unsuspecting world of Azeroth. The legion comprised of a million screaming demons, all ripped from the far corners of the universe, and the demons hungered for conquest. Sargeras' lieutenants, Archimond, the Defiler, and Manaroth, the Destructor, prepared for their infernal minions to strike. Queen Azshara, overwhelmed by the terrible ecstasy of her magic, fell victim to Sargeras' undeniable power and agreed to grant him entrance to her world. Even her highborn servitors gave themselves over to magic's inevitable corruption and began to worship Sargeras as their god. To show their allegiance to the Legion, the Highborn aided their queen in opening a vast swirling portal within the depths of the Well of Eternity. Once all his preparations had been made, Sargeras began his catastrophic invasion of Azeroth. The warrior demons of the Burning Legion stormed into the world through the Well of Eternity and laid siege to the Night Elves' sleeping cities. Led by Archimond and Manaroth, the Legion swarmed over the lands of Kalimdor, leaving only ash and sorrow in its wake. The demon warlocks called down searing infernals that crashed like hellish meteors into the great graceful spires of Kalimdor's temples. A band of burning, bloodletting killers known as the Doomguard marched across Kalimdor's fields, slaughtering everyone in their path. Packs of wild, demonic fellhounds ravaged the countryside unopposed. Though the brave Kaldori warriors rushed to defend their ancient homeland, they were forced to give ground, inch by inch, before the fury of the Legion's onslaught. It fell to Malfurion Stormrage to find help for his beleaguered people. Stormrage, whose own brother Illidan practiced the Highborne's magics, was incensed by the growing corruption amongst the upper class. Convincing Illidan to forsake his dangerous obsession, Malfurion set out to find Cenarius and muster a resistance force. The beautiful young priestess Tyrande agreed to accompany the brothers in the name of Elune. Though Malfurion and Illidan shared a love for the idealistic priestess, Tyrande's heart belonged to Malfurion alone. Illidan resented his brother's budding romance with Tyrande, but knew that his heartache was nothing compared to the pain of his magical addiction. Illidan, who had grown dependent on magic's empowering energies, struggled to keep control of his nearly overwhelming hunger to tap the well's energies once again. However, with Tyrande's patient support, he was able to restrain himself and help his brother find the reclusive demigod Cenarius. Cenarius, who dwelt within the sacred moonglades of the distant Mount Hyjal, agreed to help the Night Elves by finding the ancient dragons and enlisting their aid. The dragons, led by the great red Leviathan Alexstrasza, agreed to send their mighty flights to engage the demons and their infernal masters. Cenarius, calling on the spirits of the enchanted forests, rallied an army of ancient tree men and led them against the Legion in a daring ground assault. As the Night Elves allied converged upon Azshara's temple and the Well of Eternity, an all-out affair erupted. Despite the strength of their newfound allies, Malfurion and his colleagues realized that the Legion could not be defeated by martial strength alone. As a titanic battle raged around Azshara's capital city, the delusional queen waited in anticipation for Sargeras' arrival. The Lord of the Legion was preparing to pass through the Well of Eternity and enter the ravaged world. As his impossibly huge shadow grew ever closer to the well's surface, Azshara gathered the most powerful of her Highborne followers. Only by linking their magics together in one focused spell would they be able to create a gateway large enough for Sargeras to enter. As the battle raged across the burning fields of Kalimdor, a terrible turn of events unfolded. The details of the event have been lost to time, but it is known that Neltharion, the dragon aspect of the earth, went mad during a critical engagement against the Burning Legion. He began to split apart as flame and rage erupted from his dark hide. Renaming himself Deathwing, the burning dragon turned on his brethren and drove the 5 dragonflights from the field of battle. Deathwing's sudden betrayal was so destructive that the 5 dragonflights never truly recovered. Wounded and shocked, Alexstrasza and the other noble dragons were forced to abandon their mortal allies. Malfurion and his companions, now hopelessly outnumbered, barely survived the ensuing onslaught. Malfurion, convinced that the Well of Eternity was the demon's umbilical link to the physical world, insisted that it should be destroyed. His companions, knowing that the well was the source of their immortality and power, were horrified by the rash notion. Yet Tyrande saw the wisdom of Malfurion's theory, so she convinced Cenarius and their comrades to storm Azshara's temple and find a way to shut the well down for good. Alright, so I think that will be concluding our reading tonight of a couple pages of some lore. We definitely have more to go, so if this is something that you're interested in, please feel free to tag along and subscribe if you would like. No pressure. And also let me know if there's any other game lore that you would like me to read, and let me know if this is relaxing at all. I don't really know. I've never done anything like this, so any feedback is appreciated. And I hope you enjoy your night. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.